Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
If you're a high-performing salesperson, you know your time is your most valuable asset. So why waste it on tasks that someone else could handle even better? That's where our friends at Work Better Now come in.
Work Better Now virtual assistants are specially trained to help sales professionals like you fully leverage your time. Imagine offloading administrative work, calendar management, data entry, and follow-ups so you can focus on what you do best, building relationships and closing deals.
With a dedicated assistant at your side, you'll have the bandwidth to grow your pipeline, strengthen client connections, and crush your sales goals.
It's simple. Free up your time, maximize your impact. Let Work Better Now help you work smarter, not harder. Your sales career deserves this game-changing advantage.
Visit workbetternow.com today to learn more and get started, because your time isn't just money, it's everything. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, all kinds of things. Great seeing my dear friend, Darrell Amy. We got all kinds of great things happening. Buckle up. We got a special guest.
The modern seller herself is in the house, and we're excited about all the things happening right now. Thank you to everybody who's leaving reviews on the new audio version of Larry's book, Selling in a Post-Trust World. It's so much fun having conversations with people that are reading the book and starting to put these ideas on how to build trust into action.
No, hey, I just have to give a special shout out. This is someone who's actually read both books, actually listened to them as well. Avid listener of the podcast, Brian Owen. I appreciate you. I got to tell a quick story. About a couple of weeks ago, I get a message from Brian. Hey, can I get your mailing address? I go, yeah, sure. No big deal. Thank you for the Kansas City barbecue sauce, Brian. Right. You're awesome. I love when I get gifts. I just had to share it.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Brian, and we appreciate everybody who's not only reading or listening to Selling in a Post-Trust World, but actually putting it into action, because that's what it's all about. Speaking of action, we're honored to welcome back to Selling from the Heart, Amy Franko. She is our friend, a strategic sales expert, keynote speaker, and author of one of my favorite sales books, The Modern Seller. With a powerhouse background at IBM and Lenovo, Amy now helps mid-market organizations grow through smart B2B sales strategy and leadership development. She's recognized as one of LinkedIn's top sales voices, and Amy always delivers fresh, practical insights that empower sales professionals to build real relationships and create lasting success. Her mission? To elevate the profession of sales through modern strategies grounded in trust, value, and authenticity. Amy, it's great to have you back to Selling from the Heart. Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me back. We couldn't decide if this was a three-peat or a four-peat, but whichever peat it is great to be here. And so good to see your smiling faces.
Oh, it's always good to see Amy Franko.
That's right. And as we get started, Amy, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and I'm looking forward to your answer today. To what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
So this answer is always different, just depending on where I happen to be at a certain, at a point in my life. And for me today, selling from the heart right now is making sure I'm being really intentional with how I invest all of my time, not just my selling time or my client time. And I work with between 5 and 10 clients a year. And so because I do that, I work with them in a lot of depth. And I feel really privileged to be able to choose the clients that I get to work with. And from time to time, it's like just looking through, all of our client bases, and are we working in like the zone of genius, as I've heard it described before, or am I working in that way? And am I investing all of my time really intentionally?
Oh, that's so good. Hey, I'm so glad you brought up the word intentional. actually used it twice. So what's intentionality mean to Amy Franko?
I've created a program, right, that I've been working on with a couple of clients, and it's a prospecting program. And one of the definitions that I have in there is called intentional outreach, where, a lot of times we think about relationship building with people we haven't yet met. And we think like we have to, we're very active, we can be very activity driven. But with this program, and what I have just been thinking about for myself is, how do I do a better job of picking the right quality of relationships, contacts, et cetera, that I want to build? And how am I more focused with it? So I think about intentionality as being focused and not feeling like I have to do lots and lots of activity in order to be valuable.
Yeah, intentionality, that intention is one of my core values. And I think about this every day, being focused in how I direct my energy, my time, my thoughts, my productivity, my money, all of the different assets that we have, being intentional about this. And I think as sales professionals, this concept of being intentional is such a powerful thing, because we are all gifted with a certain amount of time every single day. We're all gifted, that all things made equal. Intentionality, I believe, is a massive differentiator between sales professionals' success and lack thereof.
Yeah. And when we think about it in terms of not less about activity and more about outcome, I find that helped me pick and choose a little bit better about where I want to invest my time. I keep up with some of the research from Salesforce and, state of sales that comes out every year. And there was one slide in there, one page in there that really caught my attention, which is how what a sales professional spends his or her time on a weekly basis. And you guys won't be surprised to hear this, but only about 30% of that time is spent on what's considered like truly substantive revenue producing activities. So outreach, prospecting, sales conversations, actively like writing and presenting proposals and solutions to customers and prospects. The other 70% of that time, it's not that some of those activities aren't important. Some are and some aren't, but that 70% of somebody's week is sucked up into other things that may not be as intentional as what they would like for them to be.
Oh, Dan, we're gonna dive into this even more, because I got to bring this up. I was just watching a Simon Sinek YouTube video not too long ago, who actually brought up intentionality. And he talked about how he believes intentionality starts the minute we wake up in the morning. Mm-hmm. And he went on and he started talking about the 7 questions you can ask yourself first thing in the morning. But he used something that was really interesting. He goes, are you proactive in the morning when it comes to intentionality, or are you reactive? And he submits that most of us are reactive to how we start our day as opposed to being proactive. What's your thoughts on that?
It's like reactive as in like you wake up, like you've overslept your alarm and you look like you've been shot out of bed.
It's like you're reactive because most people sleep. I don't, but they'll sleep like with their phone by the bed or something like that. They wake up. The minute they wake up, it's boom. They're into their phone. They're reactive. They're doing all these things. And how can you be intentional when the first 15 minutes you just got sucked into being reactive by picking up your phone?
Well, yeah, and you think about how your body reacts and your brain reacts. Like now, all of a sudden, you've I think the phone's a great example. You've picked up the phone, you doom scrolled something, or you've gotten into your email, whatever that happens to be, and now all of a sudden, like your brain is like your mind is going. You can like feel like your blood pressure rising, like all of like adrenaline and all of that kicking in, and that's how you're starting your day. And then how does that translate to the rest of your day?
Exactly.
I liked how before the show started, we were talking about the empty suit, and you said something really profound. You said, well, maybe some of the empty suits, the real issue behind that is we've got empty tanks. And I think this empty tank syndrome is a massive challenge, a massive issue across the sales world right now. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. And probably the more successful you are, obviously we're talking about this, about sales roles, but the more successful you are in a sales role, the more that you are asked to do and the more opportunities that you have. And so sometimes success creates that trap of saying yes to lots and lots of stuff. And now all of a sudden, like, your time isn't your own anymore. And it's not even all of a sudden, I shouldn't say that. Usually it's over time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look back, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and you're like, how did I get to this place? Like, I have all this stuff on my plate. I don't feel like I'm doing any of it well. And what really like lights me up? It's kind of like what Jeb says, like the pain of prospecting. Jeb Blunt, the pain of prospecting you don't feel today, you feel it 3 months from now or 6 months from now. I think it's the same thing with what we choose to say yes and no to. We don't feel it today. We feel it 3 months from now or 6 months from now.
Hey, I still want to go down this empty tank situation for a moment, because I think we've all faced it. So coach us along. I mean, what would be some of the signs? So if you're looking at this going, you know what, I sense I'm hitting that empty tank. What are some of those warning signs?
For me, a really unscientific warning sign is how I feel about something before I'm about to do it. So like an activity, an event, maybe an organization that you belong to. Like, if you feel like, I'm like kind of having to force myself to do this, that might be a sign. And it may not be. Like, you have to kind of discern, am I tired today? Or I just have a lot going on in a busy season of life versus something that's really draining my tank and I have to think about it. Like, so for me, for example, I have a list on my desk right now. I was going through this. I have a list on my desk of all the things outside of my work that I'm involved in. Associations, events, volunteering, that kind of stuff. And so I have this list, and I'm actively looking at this list right now to say, okay, where has maybe something come to completion that I'm not really excited about it anymore? And I have to think about, am I ready to let it go? Should I let it go? Do I want to let it go? And make space that I don't fill, which is another conversation, or am I interested in doing something a little bit different? So I look at that periodically. So that might be a sign. I keep a running list of things and kind of judge how I'm feeling about it. So those are a couple of the things that I pay attention to for myself.
I think that's really good, though. It's almost like taking a look at the situation from from that continuum of, oh, I'm so excited about this, all the way to the other side of like dread. I just dreading this. And, obviously we're somewhere in the middle, but if you're consistently finding yourself, I think, in that place emotionally, where you look at that situation, you're either ambivalent or you're leaning towards dread, that may be a sign that you've got an empty tank. And when you show up with an empty tank, it's really, really hard to be engaged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would also take a look at what are some of the things I do to fuel myself versus what I'm doing in the outside world, or like for others. So for example, like, this is just a small example from my life. I used to work out in the evenings after work, and I found that it wasn't working for me like it used to. Like, I just had other obligations and other things that I wanted to be doing in those hours. So I shifted my workout routine to being a morning workout person. That might be a whole other podcast, which it's like, to build those new habits like that, it took me a good couple months to build that habit, because that had to force me to change other habits, like going to bed earlier and planning a little bit differently. So I guess where I'm going with that is paying attention to where we do things for ourselves and optimizing that versus where we are being of service to other people. And like, selling from the heart is about being, your true authentic self and serving other people. It's really challenging to be that person when you don't take time to do things that fuel you up.
Oh, this is so good, because, we're talking about empty tanks. We're talking about selling from the heart. It's hard to sell from the heart if you don't know what's in your heart. It's hard to all do this when your tank's empty. So I got to tie in intentionality back into this, because I think this all starts with being intentional with the first hour of your morning. Is how are you being intentional? how are you fueling up for the day? And what are you putting in your tank the first hour of every morning?
So for myself, I commit to working out 4 days a week. So it's usually like one day on the weekend and then 3 times during the week. And when I travel, it looks a little bit different. Yeah. But the first hour of my day on those days is, because that's like a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. alarm. But the first hour of my day is simply, it's getting up, it's getting ready, and just in going to, and I like to go somewhere to work out. That helps me with accountability. But I have started to listen to, sometimes I'll just listen to music. Sometimes I'll listen to silence just in my car on the way to or from. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts. But I have found that ways to optimize that first, it's an hour or two, basically, by the time you get up, you go and you get home. But it's like the first hour or two of my day. And then by 7 or 7:30, I'm back home and I've already, accomplished some things, but not so much accomplishing them for the sake of doing activity, but to have some things that fuel me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what's interesting, I love the sales profession because I do believe we're the athletes of the corporate world. And in sales, we talk a lot about, our sales day and how we manage our time, during whatever that window of time is that are the prime selling hours and all of that. Super, super important. But if we're going to show up and be fully engaged, there's a mindset that, the filling of the tank and being able to show up and be present and be passionate about what we're doing requires us to look at our entire lifestyle all the way around it. It's the alarm, and the alarm backs up to when am I going to go to bed and how am I going to get quality sleep, and what needs to go and what needs to stay in my life for me to be able to come and be present, to be here for my clients, my friends, and my family as well, with full tank. And I think what's so great about sales, this is what I love about this profession, is to me, it just challenges us on a daily basis to always look for ways to optimize that.
I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like being entrepreneurs and being in sales, it's like twofold. You get it twice.
Yes.
You get to do it twice versus being a professional in an organization. But I wholeheartely agree with you. I think it's the best profession, and it's a real personal development profession. I couldn't have landed in a better place when I started my career.
Now we're going down personal growth. I love this because just Darrell, I think you remember what you just shared. We got in this whole topic of personal growth, and it ties back into culture. And Darrell, you could probably, it slipped my mind, but you talked about it. Actually, you just posted something.
It's about a culture of personal development, right?
Yeah.
We have and we have that in our organization. We could talk about that as leaders, as sales leaders. Do we have a culture of personal development? But that arrow goes right back to me to go, do I have, a culture, a personal lifestyle, if you will, of personal development, saying I'm always growing, Larry?
No, absolutely. And I'd just be curious, what's personal development look like for you, Amy?
For me, personal development is, I like to have, I'm somebody who is, I'm interested in a lot of different topics. I don't know if you guys have ever done StrengthsFinder.
Yes.
But one of my top 5 is learner. Mm-hmm. And that has always been in my top 5. So for me, I'm always interested in a variety of different subjects and topics. So I think we were talking about this before we came on the show in the lovely green room. Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Hey, we upgraded it just for you, Amy.
You did. I can tell. It's fantastic. But we were talking about how I've gotten into angel investing over the last couple of years. I am taking Spanish lessons, which is something I've always wanted to do, but just I didn't make the time to do it. Have the time, make the time. I didn't make the time to do it. And so I made it a priority to invest in that. So for me, personal development is just pursuing things that I'm interested in. And I always like to try to find a way to tie it back to what I do professionally. So personal and professional, those can be kind of blurred lines, especially with development. So anytime I'm learning something or I'm curious about something personally, it's like, how do I use it professionally too?
And there it is once again,
Yeah.
like the crossing between how we structure our personal life and what happens during our sales time as well. It really is so interconnected, isn't it?
Yeah. And you said something earlier I wanted to come back to, which is like the how we kind of fuel ourselves and develop ourselves. I am somebody like a lot of my clients will tell me like I'm a high energy person. Like when I come to an event or like we've all been together at multiple events or I'm working with clients, like my energy is a little bit of like a hallmark. And so if I think about how I show up, and if I'm not showing up as somebody who has the right level of energy, who is that energetic, enthusiastic person, that's something that's how I like to be. And if I don't show up in that way, I'm probably there's like an empty tank in there somewhere or something that's being depleted that needs to be filled back up.
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this right now, because in the trust formula, I talk about inspirational experiences, and kind of in parentheses, it's how you show up. And that's as a seller, and I'll even say as a sales leader, that's your responsibility. It's not the company's responsibility for how you show up. It's how you show up. It's what are you doing to take personal responsibility for how you show up, which goes back to what are you putting in the tank?
Yep. I work with Objective Management Group, and I use their sales assessments with my clients. And so for those that maybe aren't familiar with it, it can assess you on 21 different sales competencies. And out of those 21, only 10 or 11 are tactical. The others are mindset oriented, how you think about things, how you process things. But one of my favorite data points that they gather is something called sales responsibility, which is exactly what you just described, which is, do I take ownership for my success regardless of outside circumstances? And to me, when I'm looking at a sales team, I love looking at that sales responsibility finding, because that's going to tell me a lot about that individual or about that team, and if they take really full ownership for how they show up.
That is powerful. And I love Objective Management Group and massive advocates for that here as well. And I think it reminds me of a conversation I was having yesterday or something I was reading. So always be learning, right? That in the S&P 500, so the 500 largest companies right now, if you look at the value of the S&P 500, something like 90, I think it was 99%. I got to look it up because that didn't seem believable, but 99% of the value in the S&P 500 is intangible value. It's not value based on, assets like buildings or inventory and all of that. It's intangible. Whether that number is 99%, 90%, or even 75%, I think the parallel here, as I'm thinking about this conversation today, the value that we bring to the market as sales professionals, the vast majority of it, the lion's share of it, has to do with this conversation we're having here today. How we show up, how we fill the tank, how we show up and fill the empty suit, Larry. And all of this is all based around intentionality, saying, I'm going to structure my life in a way that I'm able to arrive on the scene and be head and shoulders above my competition and have more fun doing it and more impact along the way.
And sometimes that can feel like a really tall order, right? Especially if you're at a point in your sales life or your personal life, or maybe there's just a lot of stuff going on and you are overcommitted in a lot of places in your life. And gosh, where do I start? Like, that all sounds awesome. And I want to be that person and I want to get to that place. What are one or two things I could do to get on the path and start to feel successful? Because if it really feels overwhelming, like if you have a lot going on and you're like, I don't even know where to start to peel back the layers, that can probably make somebody want to quit and be like, well, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. So I just have too much. So I was reading a blog post the other day. There's Zen Habits is the name of the blog, and I have subscribed to it for years. And it's a very simple posts that come through, several times a week. But one of the things that caught my attention this week was around how to find joy in, like, how to find more joy. And the idea was sometimes we make it bigger than it needs to be. Like, oh, if I accomplish this, then I'll be happy.
Mhm.
Or if I get that thing, then I'll be happy. But where can you be more present and just be like sitting in the moment and be good with the moment that you're in versus trying to look outside or look too far ahead? So that, to me, that really resonated with me, because I'm also in my Strengths Finders profile, I'm also very future focused, which has a lot of good things. But the shadow side is I'm looking too far into the future and I'm not happy always in the moment that I'm in.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just curious, what's one simple thing? So someone's buying into all of this.
Yeah.
What's one simple thing somebody can do just to say, you know what? I buy into this. I buy into this conversation y'all have been having for the last 25 minutes. I gotta get in control of all of this. What's one simple thing someone can do?
Ooh. Can I give you two?
Yeah.
You can give me three if you want.
Bonus.
All right. So
For the price of one.
right, two for the it's a BOGO, two for the price of
That's
one.
right. There you go.
So I would say, like, very tactically in the moment, find something that you can say no to, like something that, like, you've been asked to do, but you're like, oh, you know what? It's not like an absolute yes. I want to say no to it, to build the muscle of saying no. No, thank you. I appreciate you thinking of me. Not at this time. Or just no, thank you. Right. I would say maybe something that's a little bigger picture, more strategic. Make that list of your commitments, the things that you have going on personally, professionally, associations, kids, parents, whatever that might be. And not that you have to do anything with it. You can just let it sit, but just to write it down and get it out of your head and onto paper, so that that's like a good next step to start getting some clarity around it. And it's not just stuff swirling in your head. You've actually gotten it down in writing somewhere. Then you can decide what to do with it.
Yeah.
Those are two both very, very kind things to do to yourself. And, I know at Selling from the Heart, we talk about being kind and being, thoughtful, caring, all of that about other people. Sometimes we got to remember to do that back to ourselves. Yep. So I think that is such powerful advice. Amy, it is always a pleasure hanging out with you on Selling from the Heart. I know our listeners are asking the same question. We're asking, how do we get more Amy Franko in our lives?
Well, first of all, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Amy Franko. Please let me know that you heard me on Selling from the Heart, and I will accept your invitation. And then secondly, feel free to go out to my website, amyfranko.com. Lots of good free resources out there, and I would love to connect with you there.
Super.
It's
always
so
a pleasure, Amy. So fun hanging out with you today. Thank you for sharing your heart with us.
Thank you for having me.
That's
awesome.
Our pleasure.
Always a fun conversation with Amy Franko. And by the way, if our listeners haven't read The Modern Seller yet,
go grab
a copy. This is a fantastic sales book. And Amy's one of our favorite thought leaders around here. And this conversation today, I think, was a little different than we normally have, and extremely powerful around being intentional about filling the tank.
Yeah. And I'm glad this was a great play on Empty Suit.
Yeah, thank you, Amy, for that.
That was a good one,
Empty
Amy.
suit, empty tank. Very, very awesome.
But we have to be intentional with how we fill up our tank. And this is just my belief on this, Darrell. It all starts with what we do first thing in the morning. If you're not filling that tank up first thing in the morning,
yep.
I'm here to tell you this, and this is just from experience. Y'all are going to run out of gas halfway through the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think throughout the day, we got to be wise. And Amy's advice right at the end, so smart. Make a list of all the stuff you're doing, and what are the things that you can confidently say no to. You can't say yes to everything. In fact, it's hard to say yes to things unless you're able to say no to some things. Such good advice. Well, Larry, this is always fun having these conversations. We got many guests coming up throughout the rest of this season, and I'm so grateful for all these wonderful conversations, these ideas, this inspiration we get to share with our friends here that listen. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's reviewing this podcast. It continues to grow internationally, and it's such a pleasure to get to know all of you. But thank you to those who are helping us spread the word.
Yeah, I'll second that. But I guess what? Y'all didn't realize that when you listen to Selling from the Heart, not only do we give you sales tips, sometimes these turn into therapeutic sessions. So this one was a therapeutic session along with giving you some sales tips. So we appreciate all of you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us this week. Until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, fill your empty tank, and most of all,
Sell from the heart.